About 10 years ago, I had a profound experience while listening to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. While I was listening to it, at the time I was very not well. I was unwell, and back then at the time I had lost hearing in my left ear. And the left side of our body is associated with femininity, um, yin energy, introversion. It's typically the left hand path. And I was not well like 10 years ago, and I'd lost my hearing in my left ear. It was almost like it was tinnitus or something, but it was brought on by my health not being well due to the fact that back then I was in poverty, and, you know, trauma induced sickness made me lose my hearing for some strange reason. And back then I was trying to compose music, and I was looking for inspiration, and I just happened to come across listening to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and this was before I had done any research or knew anything about him or anything really, yeah. So, and as I was listening and my hearing started to go, it started to progressively get worse, and there was pain, and it was just like, my hearing got so distorted back then to the point of like, I started to hear things, okay? And this was after, and I obviously back then I had help doing a lot of things, but I just remember that being like a very chaotic time in my life, being thrown into the system and then trying to outgrow the systems that we're thrown into and then just find our way. It's very chaotic and messy. So yeah, my experience with that was like in my left ear, I was hearing distorted echoing noises, almost like you're in like a chamber, and it was very intense, and I was almost hearing like different pitches and tones kind of intermingling with each other while I was listening to Beethoven's music. And then I'm tripping out and trying to write my own, so I'm looking for a muse, like inspiration, and this was like the winter time, even around this time, like 10 years ago. It was the fall, the season of death, so I was like tripping out, and yeah, he helped me basically write and compose a song back then when I was going through something really awful, and I just so happened to find out he was actually, I kind of initially knew like he was struggled or but then the one thing I didn't know, which I found really fascinating, is that he was actually deaf. So yeah, when I found out he was deaf, I started to take it as a sign, and it was very intense. It was very profound back then because I was having all these other unique, strange experiences spiritually, and it was like he was pushing me into something. Yeah. And my next door neighbor back then at the time was actually a schizophrenic who was harassing me all the time. So he would hear things too, and I feel like I empathically, like, I don't know, took on his sickness in weird ways. But that's my story with Beethoven and my spiritual awakening, and how his music influenced me and catapulted me while I was going through a dark night of the soul. So, and I believe, not if I'm correct, he went through a lot of that in his life. So yeah, I just wanted to commemorate Beethoven on his day he was baptized, and say thank you for helping me 10 years ago. Yeah, I thought I would share that story just due to the fact that a lot of people don't know that story. That's like something I experienced while trying to find a muse and influence for composing, and yeah, it was really trippy back then. So and it actually helped me compose the song that I wrote, Broken Note, which was one of the first songs I composed. and it was a song about depression and feeling like disconnected, and it's funny too because the lyrics in the song that I wrote, like, I'd rather hear your spiritual blessings, is because I was actually hearing stuff back then. It was very distorted, so I can't really pinpoint exactly back then because I was but I remember bits and pieces of the initial onset of what brought everything on, and I just thought that was a very profound story to share, so I hope you get something from that, and bless Beethoven as well. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more from me coming very soon.